I've had this little WeCreate laser for a couple of months now, and overall it's a pretty good machine. There's a few little hiccups with it that I don't particularly like. One, I've got the IR module mounted in here, and that's what I keep in here most of the time. And that thing is constantly ramping up and down with the fan, and I can hear it all through the house. It's extremely loud. Don't mind it while it's working, but when it's not, it's aggravating. However, you would think they put a button up here that they could put a power button up here. I have to actually reach around back behind here to flip the power on and off. So I'm going to see if I can fix that issue today. The first thing I'm going to do is make up a little box. And this is about the same measurements as the box that came with the booster fan, except for instead of being black, I'm going to go ahead and print this out in white. So that looks pretty good. Get this off the plate here. Okay, let's see if it fits. All right, digging through some of my parts I have here. I've got a bunch of just random switches and things that I pick up. All right, so that fit in there good. So the power on this is this weird 5.2 millimeter plug that just had the studs on them, which would have been nice except for they're black, and on the white I think the metals are going to look better. These are the same size plug, it's just a metal one. However, it's already got the wire on it, and I actually would prefer it with this, but we're just going to cut the wire off and use these anyway. All right, so we're going to slide these in. Are we going to try to slide them in? Almost got that hole too small. Being that it's on the side, it had a little bit of a, I guess it drooped just a hair, but that's okay. It's big enough. We can just screw these right in. Okay, since I've got my power coming in, and these, I put the same plug. Now this isn't your standard plug. This is a 5.5 by 2.5. I think the standard is more of a 5.5 by 3, but that's what they used. And so all I'm doing is trying to break the hot. And this particular switch, it's got 4 wires because it has an LED in it. So if I hadn't got the one with the LED, this would have been a lot simpler, but it's still not that big of a deal. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to jump to common on both of them, which is our neutral, our ground. And then we're also going to have to hook up the ground for the LED. If it was just a normal switch, you would only have the 2 wires to hook up. So I went ahead and loaded up some solder on the connector, and then I got the wire tinned just because, especially with the heat shrink on here, it's making that wire real stiff. All right, so I've got the ground, which is on the back, to the black one on our switch there. And now I've got it put through the hole up there on the top one. Make sure that's good there. All right, so the red one is just for the LED, and then the blue is our switch wire. So I'm going to go ahead, just because of the way they come off, and leave me a little bit of extra slack here. Let's go ahead and cut those, and we'll strip them real quick. And we're just going to run, so this will be our power coming in, and so we're going to run these together, and so this will be our wire going to the switch basically, and the wire going to the LED. Let's go ahead and tin that up real quick. That's why I left a little extra slack, so I wasn't sure which way it was going to come around here. All right, we got our last wire here. Figure out, okay, that should be good there. Went ahead and tinned the wire, put a little piece of heat shrink on there. Once I soldered it in place, then I just slid the heat shrink down. I didn't have any white ABS. All I had was PLA, which is a lower melt temperature. So I didn't want to get my heat gun in here and take a chance of this little housing getting hot and deformed. So I just used the soldering iron to shrink the heat shrink around all the connections. Okay, it's like all the wires should clear our box. And all we got to do is snap the back on it. We'll have our input here, our output there, and then this will be our on and off. All right, so we're going to reach back here. We're going to unplug the power cord and pull it around up here to the front. And now we'll plug it into our little box we just made up. And when it's on, it's lit up, and when it's off, it's not. And then I just put a piece of alien tape on the back of it here. So we'll peel that off, and we're going to make it nice and neat. So I'll figure out, okay, all right, there looks good. And since we put the same plug on both of these, I just got a couple of little pigtails that are that same plug, and I'm just going to make up a double male plug like this, and then I'll plug this into the back, and then we will be able to get a measurement from here as to how much wire we need to go in between. All right, so we're going to solder this up real quick, and again, we're just going to do this freehand. And then you see where I cut this one short on purpose. That way I can make sure whenever I'm up here soldering that I don't do the wrong one. And then also this way the connections, I'm going to put heat shrink over them, but this way it would be impossible for the connections to touch each other because, you know, they're offset. Just a little something I like to do. Okay, so I've got my wire made up here. Got all my connectors covered. So what we have is just a double male. And then I'm going to take my continuity tester, and then I'm going to make sure that I've got connection. And I'll make sure that I don't have a leak on that side. And then I'll check the outside, make sure I got connection there. And if we didn't have a leak the other way, we won't have one that way. So wire's good to go. Okay, so we got the moment of truth here. Let's see if this thing's gonna work. I haven't tried it out yet, but I don't see why it won't work. Pretty confident in my abilities. And I did make this just a tad long. All right, so we're plugged in there. Well, let's hit the button and see what happens. Well, that light turned on. Oh, you know what? You got to have the switch, the factory switch on. I thought I had done messed up. All right, we'll try this again. I got the switch in the back on. All right, everything seems to be booting up and all working fine. So all I got left to do now is to add a couple of wire holders there, and we will be in business. We can now just come over here and everything's shut down for the evening. Terrific. Well, thanks for watching all the way to the end. So if you made it all the way to the end, you must have one of these machines and had the same issue, and or maybe thinking about doing this. So let me know, what do you think? I've got this box here now is for our power. This one is for the booster fan because, you know, I don't have to run it all the time. I had thought about doing a third switch for the air assist, but I no longer use the WeCreat software. I use Lightburn, and so I can turn my air assist on and off in the software. This is just a first time prototype. It all actually came together good on the very first shot, so that's really good. That's all for now, and I appreciate you watching, and definitely leave me some feedback on what you think about this.